Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. How's it going? How's it going? It is Jen here, and it is Wednesday, November 29th. And today, I had a really great insight when I was taking my little miniature horse Tuesday for a walk. So I'm really excited about to share this topic with you. It really is hitting home for me, especially with some of the things I've had challenges with recently. But if you are watching this live, and this is your first time ever watching me, make sure you say hello and introduce yourself. I'd like to get to know you. If this, on the other hand, is you and I are friends and I know you, please comment and let me know that you're here. If you're watching the replay, just drop in the comments a hashtag replay or just replay, and I'll know that you are a part of this message that's so important. I had such an aha. And I do generally when I'm out with the horses. That's when I have my biggest and deepest insights. And really, some of my biggest breakthroughs is when I'm out with the horses. So if you're here, drop me a comment and let me know your name and where you're from, etc. And I would love, love, love to connect with you. So today, I was out walking Tuesday. I walk her pretty regularly. I feed the other horses, and then I take little Fatty out for a walk because she's a little chunk at the moment. So she gets to go exercise while everyone else eats. And that was really interesting because I had a cookie in my pocket, and this is where it all started. I had a cookie, and I was like, "Oh, when we get back, I'll give you a little cookie." And when I did, I realized that I had been changing a lot of my behaviors recently, a lot of my routines. Instead of doing this, I'm doing that. And there's actually a great book out there. It's called Eat This, Not That. Like if you go to like TGI Fridays or something, instead of getting the fried chicken fingers and the buffalo wings and the potato skins, you get like the chicken finger salad, or something. So you have those options. And I've been choosing some different options and really doing some intentional upgrades. So you're doing intentional upgrades on my daily routine. And one of the things I started doing was, instead of having my phone even on the other side of the bed, like I put the not my phone what I was doing was put my phone on the other side of the bed. Okay, that's good enough. So I'd roll over and I would grab the phone, but I would still be in bed. So I was like, all right, no mas. So I leave all of my devices. I keep my watch for a clock, but I leave all of my other devices out in the main part of the house, like out in, not in the bedroom. No TVs, no electronics in the bedroom at all. So, with the exception of like the alarm clock, but no scrolling, no thumb exercises before I go to the gym. So, and when I woke up this morning, because this is new, and it's really important that you get this. Like what I'm going to tell you here in just a few minutes about why and how this is going to, why should you be watching me? Why should this apply to you? And how does this have anything to do with horses? Is because when we get to understanding what drives our behavior, we can shift our behavior, change our beliefs, and totally change our lives. So I woke up and I was like, and I actually felt myself looking for it, but I got a better night's sleep. I didn't have to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom like a million times. I woke up and I actually was like, where's my phone? I was like, oh yeah, I left it in the other room. So I actually got out of bed, and I said, nope, I'm not going to go in the other room because my bathroom is right here and then my room. So I went and I, started getting on with my day, and it changed my wiring in my brain. I was clear in how I wanted to go out with my day. I was more excited about what I wanted to do instead of filling my brain up right away with other people's ideas, other people's achievements, other people's, memes and comments and posts, etc. So it cleared my mind. But the point is when you get into that situation where you're deciding to make a change, you have to do two things. You can't just say, I'm going to not do this, because that creates a void. And this is why rehab doesn't work. We have to take whatever we're doing in whatever the negative behavior is, we have to replace it with something that is exponentially more intensely satisfying than the other thing. And we have to get in the habit of doing that more intensely satisfying other thing that's more powerful than whatever you're addicted to, whatever it is, whether it's your problems or complaining or and my dear friend Misty has her fingers on the pulse of something really powerful when she starts talking about sobriety from complaining, sobriety from continuing to talk about your problems, sobriety from not just alcohol or drugs or gambling or sex or whatever, but leading and sobriety from toxic people. I just recently had a tough experience with a client that was not for me. She had signed up for one of my things, and I looked at I was like, this is a malalignment right off the bat. And so to go, I'm going to stay sober from this person, and that they're over there drinking. I'm not going to take a drink from their faucet because they're spewing their negativity and their beliefs and whatever. Now, they're not wrong. They are just in a different place and time and space in their belief system and their level of consciousness. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to allow myself to be clouded over their lack of sobriety. I'm going to remove myself from the bar. I'm not going to sit there and commiserate with my friend at the bar. I'm just going to leave. I'm also not going to try and drag that individual out of the bar. I'm just going to simply exit stage left. So that's what I want you to think about. And when you start thinking about changing your behavior or changing something, a few things have to happen. First, you have to have something better to replace it with. And this goes, if you guys are, if you're watching this on LinkedIn or if you're in a professional space, this goes in your personal life and your professional life. It's the same concepts, it's the same philosophies and technologies. So you have to find something to replace it. And this is probably something you guys already know. The trouble is that generally we try and replace it with something, kind of shiny and new, right? Like we want to go try this new program. I was talking to a new friend yesterday about fasting. She's like, well, which program are you going to do? I'm like, the one where you don't eat. And she's like, well, what about this juicing fast? Or what about this cleanse? Or what about this? And I was like, there are great cleanses out there. So I'm not going to disqualify anything. And there's also great information about fasting. But generally, what we end up doing is we end up doing so much research and needing so much information and having so much wisdom around the topic. Because in my years, I've been fasting since Easter of 2013. I did my first fast. So I'm coming up on 11 years of fasting. I've been doing this a long time. And I realized that I now have so much skill. That first time, I don't know what the heck I was doing. I almost died. I was out there with the horses. They're like, I'm not supposed to eat. And I'm just drinking water for like a week. I'm out there in the middle of the heat playing with the horses. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. So then I went back, but I still took the action. And generally we are so, Tony Robbins says it really brilliantly. He says, we're drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. Drowning in knowledge, but starving for wisdom. And he's absolutely spot on. And that's what generally ends up happening. We end up getting so much information and so much, ideologies. And I mean, come on, let's face it, guys, are there any shortages of ways to lose weight, strategies on weight loss? No. Put less in here and more out here. It's pretty simple. So, and that's just the big piece. And we're like, well, what about your blood type? And what about your hormones? And what about this? And what about that? Well, we can get into all of that, but let's start with something very simple. And when I'm working with the horses, you go back to simplicity. The goats of the world, the Michael Phelps and Michael Jordans and Phil Mickelsons and Tiger Woods of the world, the great achievers of the world understand this concept. And this is where Occam's razor comes into play. And Occam's razor, simply explained, is if you have two competing ideas or multiple competing ideas to explain the same phenomena, you should lean into or choose the one with the simplest answer. Go with what's simple. But we don't like that. We don't like simple because then we don't get to go to Williams Sonoma and get the little avocado knife and the grapefruit spoon and the other thing. Dude, all you need is a good chef's knife. You don't need all that other stuff. You don't need a cherry pitter and all that stuff. Those things are handy as you get, a certain level, but you don't need it in the beginning. And you certainly don't need it as you are continuing to grow your level of mastery, because mastery is simple things done well. The better you can do simple things, dribbling, for Michael Jordan's case, dribbling, free throws. He would do things. And Phil Mickelson, I bring him up because he does 100 putts per day, every day, 100 putts. Now you just go out there and putt the ball, whether he makes it or not. 100 putts in a row without missing. Now, how many words is that? 100 putts in a row without missing. 7 words to describe something that has made him one of the greatest short game masters in the game of golf in history. 7 words, 100 putts without missing. There you go. Even more simpler, 100 putts in a row, 100 putts without missing. 4 words. That's it. Keep it simple, stupid, right? The KISS method. Keep it simple, sweetie. However you want to look at it. And go back to the basics. And when you are going to change a behavior, you must upgrade. If you downgrade your behavior, you're just going to fall into a deeper level of addiction. And that's, in alcoholism, it's called the Jellinek scale. It's like kind of this like upside down, kind of this thing like you start and then you go, it's like to death. But then on the other side, you got to bring yourself out of it, right? So when you look at extincting a behavior and replacing it with a new one, there are several things you have to consider. I mean, there's a lot of factors that that are involved. However, bringing it back down to the Occam's razors principle of the simplest choice is usually the correct one. Break it down to how do you want to feel? And I love what David Goggins says. He's like, you fall in love with the suffer. You fall in love with the pain. He's like, I will, why I win? Because I will outlast you. I will outwork you. I will outsuffer you, because those things do not represent pain to me the same way they represent pain to you. I have shifted my definition of what pain looks like to me. And I have a tolerance, a resilience, not a tolerance. Because I'll tell you something, I guarantee you, David Goggins does not have a tolerance for pain. He has a resilience towards it, but not a tolerance for it. Because pain comes from it comes from being a little bitch. Pain comes from putting yourself in things that take you down the cycle, down the virtuous cycle, into a vicious cycle instead of a virtuous one. The pain that people like David Goggins suffer takes them to and elevates them. Now, he chooses to do it in a way differently than me, but his ideology, I mean, I don't want to rip my toenails off, but I do want to go out. I'll go and get a rope burn with a horse. I will be out there until my lips are chapped and my skin is burnt to crisp and my body's breaking down. I'm out there with that horse, because that being out there with that horse or that client or that situation to help elevate them to their highest and best, man, no amount of pain is too much. I had my ear bit off my side of my head. None of it doesn't matter, right? So you look at what is it that is meaningful to you in a way that you are able to extinct a behavior. So here is my challenge for myself. No more devices in the room. That felt so good. I got the best night's sleep. I got such an instantaneous benefit from it that I'm like, oh, duh. Sometimes you don't get that instantaneous feedback about what the power is that you're doing, right? So you have to make sure that you have that waiting, that patience, that absolute faith that what you're doing, you're capable of doing it and it's worth it. You believe it's possible, you're capable of doing it, and it's worth it, right? That's the key piece, or you'll give up, or the other external forces will win. So you got to, is it worth it? You got to ask yourself that question right off the bat. And usually anytime I'm working with it, almost anything with a horse, it's like, hell yeah. So I've really got an ideology, and especially since recently, a good dear friend of mine lost her horse and on Sunday. And when I was up there with him, I was like, this is it, man. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave the hospital. So you got to figure out what is it that trumps the heroin, the addiction to Facebook, the cigarettes, the whatever it is. What is it that trumps that? And how can you use the principle of Occam's razor? The simplest answer is usually the best, to build those fundamentals so you become that master, And I love Alex Hormozy. He's really got an incredible ideology around this too. He's like, simple things, give until they ask. There we go. 4 word solution to your entire business model. Just give until they ask. And that's it. Offers, fine. But asking, no, wait for them. Now, that's not always easy when you got to keep the lights on and you've got 5 horses to feed. So you sometimes have to put yourself out there more. But when you really break things down into such a simplistic way. So here's what I'm going to do. Tuesday has, when I said she has this cookie, right? After her walk, going back to that. When I go to give Tuesday her cookie, she does this little habit. And it's because she was, my hallucination is, it's because she was an orphan. And it's pretty obvious because what she does is that she turns around and tries to nurse off herself. And for those of you that don't know who Tuesday is my little miniature horse. She was an orphan and her mother attacked her and we had to take her away from her mother. It happens sometimes. I'm not sure if this happened in this case with her. It happens a lot of times with miniature horses because mini horses are stinking cute anyway, but like, can you imagine a baby mini horse, a baby mini Tuesday? Right. So a lot of times they get overhandled by the human and then the horse is like, that's not my baby anymore. Just like picking up a baby bird out of a nest. So sometimes they'll reject her. I don't know that that's what happened in this case, but at the end of the day, Tuesday ended up an orphan. And so when I give her a cookie, and it's only when she gets like a treat or a cookie or a piece of fruit or apple or something, and she'll turn and sort of try and suckle off of herself. Like she'll turn her nose underneath her, where her teats are. And then she'll suck her tongue, which is like what they have to do when they nurse, like that. Right. So it looks like, and she's sucking on her tongue, like as if she's nursing. And it doesn't hurt her. It's just like us scrolling. It's cheap dopamine for her, so she's trying to self-soothe through whatever happened. So anytime she does that, I'm taking it upon myself going into December. We'll see how long it takes. Horses learn up to 7 times faster than humans. So we'll see. Maybe Jen's slow in the driveway as compared to Tuesday. But we'll see how she does. And we're going to go every day when I give her a cookie, we're going to gently interrupt the pattern. Sometimes you need to reframe a situation like, hey, you know what? Instead of doing this, would it be possible, where you can gently reframe, which is this case. And sometimes you need to deframe to where you go, hey, and blow up their whole belief system in that moment. Right. So if she was doing something that was harming another horse or herself or something, then we might go, hey, snap out of it. Right. So we want to interrupt those patterns. And in this case, we can do a gentle reframe because she gets really, in the beginning, I would try and tickle her or move her or whatever. And she would like pin her ears and try and kick you. She would get so pissed because you were interrupting that pattern. So I started getting creative around it about like, okay, how can I interrupt this pattern today? Because that's why I posted earlier about like, what's the first thought you have of every single day? Well, mine is now not grab my phone, right? It is get out of bed and go brush your teeth and get on with your day, right? So we'll see how long that lasts. But in order to replace that habit, you have to have an ideology about if you need to reframe it with like gentle encouragement, a deframe, which is like, you blow up the building, which is what happens when you go to rehab, when you go to something, you go to something, you're like, all right, you know what? I don't know. I need help. I'm going to a Tony Robbins event. I'm going to go see Jen and her horses. I'm going to go see Misty, my friend Misty, and go write and journal in a place in Arkansas, whatever it is like something's got to give, and you hit that point. Now, I want you to hit that point where, like going back to David Goggins, I want you, when you hit that point of when you pain threshold of what is no longer serving you, I want you to lower your threshold for pain for things that do not serve you and increase your resilience for the things that give you a greater return on your investment moving forward. Now that takes time. So like with people on average, it takes those that are actually doing it. It takes about 66 days to develop a new habit. To develop a new habit, that doesn't mean maintain a new habit. I had some life circumstances happen, and I didn't go to the gym for a while, and I put on about 30 pounds, 40 pounds, maybe even more. Let's see, yeah, a lot. Bag of feed. I'm essentially carrying a bag of feed around all the time. And it was something because where I allowed my environment to take control of my brain. And I don't want to have um that I don't want that to have happen ever again, ever. I mean, some of us, I called it the COVID-19, who put on weight over COVID, who's lost that weight since COVID, right? And so you put yourself in those positions where you go, I have to break a pattern. There is a pattern here that needs to be reestablished or broken and replaced with something else and resolved. Right. And if it's something that has a chemical addiction to it, like a drug or sex or drinking or something like that, that's going to have some biochemistry attached to it that you're going to have to overcome. And that right there is mindset. When I quit smoking, people were surprised. And I mean, maybe more people are doing it now, but 2004 is how I got into horses. If I could quit smoking for 90 days, I would reward myself with some horseback riding lessons. I mean, who knew it would turn into my life's work? And so, and that makes me want to cry because it is my life's work. Showing people the way that we can influence their behavior, their belief systems, change their patterns for themselves to have a better life through horses. I mean, God, that's God's work right there, man. And so when I said I would reward myself with some horseback riding lessons if I could quit smoking. And when I quit cold turkey. I don't know what quitting cold turkey. I'm gonna have to look that up. You guys look it up for me. Tell me, throw it in the comments. What is quitting cold turkey if you've made it this far into the live? But I quit cold turkey, and I never picked up a cigarette, never once, never a puff, never anything ever again. July 31st, 2004, I quit smoking, and I never looked back. And, when you make a decision, when you actually decide, there is no looking back. There is no turning back until you get new information, a new belief system, or something else. But when you go from something of that that is no longer serving you, you don't go back to it. You rise. You rise above your environment. So that's what I'm doing. And with Tuesday is we're going to do that. I'll be keeping you guys apprised as to the progress. It's already a million times better because I've had her forever. I've had her for 7 years now. But she still does it because I haven't really gotten to the other side of the belief system where she believes that she can have a cookie without having to suck her tongue. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with her over the next several weeks. I'm taking Tuesday, and we're going to help her break the habit. What is Joe Dispenza, right? Break the habit of being yourself, right? Breaking the habit of being yourself. And becoming something that is at a higher vibration, that has more success, more joy, more fulfillment, more happiness, more freedom, more feeling of an exact life, the divine life that you are in, creating heaven on earth for yourself rather than hell. So I'm going to be and not saying that her sucking her tongue is hell, just stay with the metaphor. So we're going to work on that. I'll be keeping you posted as to how she's doing. What I'm going to be doing is just timing her to see. I'm going to just do a baseline, give her a cookie, and then time her to see how long she sucks her tongue before she gets out of it. Like how many cigarettes does she smoke before she's like, okay, I'm good until the next cookie. And then we're going to try and shorten that and shorten it and shorten it and shorten it until she doesn't do it anymore on her own without me having to interrupt the pattern. And what we're going to do is insert new patterns. We're going to, when I give her a cookie, we're going to then go for a walk or turn in circles or back up or jump a jump or something. And all those different ors, we could go and or something. I made different things I could actually insert there, say, or this, or this, or this, or this, right? Those are the strategies. That's not the beginning. The beginning is understanding her state of mind. What is she thinking? And then what's the story that's driving it? I need to suck my tongue. I have a cookie. I need to suck my tongue. And then what's the belief system behind it? Now, for the horse, it's a little different than with people because they don't have the same like prefrontal cortex that we do. But we have a prefrontal cortex, and we say, well, who's driving the conversation, and what's the belief system behind it, and how do we shift that in a way where we can resolve it, replace it, and move forward to a better life. So I hope this is powerful for you guys. Stay tuned. We're going to be following Tuesday and her tongue sucking um, turmoil. I like alliteration. So her tongue, her adventure with the tongue. But I'll video it. I'll show it to you. We'll time it, and then we'll see what does it actually take, and then we'll start looking for what strategies tend to work best for her. Wow, wouldn't that be cool if you had somebody in your life that was able to do that for you? Hey, guess what? You can reach out to me. I am a coach. Just kidding, but not really. No, just kidding. But anyway, we're going to be following Tuesday. Make sure you stay tuned and follow her progress as we go through this whole releasing her of her need to self-soothe in an unhealthy way and replace it with something that is healthier. Thanks for tuning in, guys. For those of you that were here, if you're watching the replay, make sure you drop a comment and let me know that you were watching the replay. And if you'd like to come and visit me in South Florida at my beautiful ranch in Wellington, I would love to host and support you. I do have a mastermind coming up January 1st. I'm sure a lot of people are like, Monday, January 1st. I can imagine how packed the gyms are going to be, but it's going to be a great way to kick the year off. So we'll make sure you reach out if you'd like to know more. And as always, believe in yourself. It will change your life. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.